Everyone flashes luxury on Instagram, but most people quietly wonder how much money really makes you rich in 2025 and who is faking it. U.S. household wealth has shifted so far that the median net worth is about $200,000. But the true separators are not what you think. Each tier of wealth has a hidden threshold. Cross it and your entire life changes. The difference is rarely just a bigger paycheck. So if you think you know what it takes to move from average to truly rich, prepare to be surprised as we reveal exactly where the lines are drawn, one by one. Income and net worth are often confused. Income is the stream. It is your paycheck, business profits, dividends, and government benefits flowing in over a year. Net worth is the pool. It is what remains after subtracting every debt from every asset. Home equity, retirement accounts, stocks, cash, cars, and any loans against them. According to the Federal Reserve's latest survey of consumer finances, the typical U.S. household now holds a net worth just under $200,000. But that number hides a critical detail. For most, the bulk of that wealth is locked inside a primary home or a retirement account, not in cash or investments you can easily access. The Census Bureau's income tables show median household money income in the mid-$70,000 range for 2023, but even families earning well above that can feel fragile. That is because high income does not always translate to high net worth. Many Americans with six-figure salaries carry significant unsecured debt, credit cards, personal loans, auto loans, or student debt, and that quietly erodes their financial position. In 2025, median unsecured debt for U.S. households sits in the mid-thousands of dollars, and for some, it can wipe out years of savings in a single emergency. This is how the illusion of wealth spreads. The influencer who posts luxury vacations and designer brands might have a strong income, but court filings from recent high-profile bankruptcies tell a different story. Massive credit card balances, unpaid taxes, and leased goods often leave net assets that barely cover obligations. The numbers on paper can look impressive, but the reality is negative. Sometimes once debts are counted, the difference between looking rich and being rich comes down to what you own minus what you owe, not how much you spend or show. As the next tiers are revealed, every number will be measured by this standard, the true net worth that remains after all liabilities are subtracted. Without that clarity, it is easy to mistake the flow of money for real, lasting wealth. Breaking into the top half of American households in 2025 means holding a net worth of $200,000. That is the median. Half of households fall below, half above, but this number hides a story. For most, the majority of that wealth is locked away in a primary home or a retirement account. The cash buffer is thin, and the ability to tap those funds in a crisis is limited. Consider Persona A, a 38-year-old homeowner in a mid-sized city. Their net worth sits just above $200,000, but $160,000 of that is tied up in home equity and a 401k. After subtracting debts, only a modest emergency fund remains, enough to cover a few months of expenses at best. If a job loss or a medical bill hits, most of their wealth is out of reach, without selling the house or paying penalties to access retirement funds. Now look at Persona B, age 41, renting in a high-cost metro area. Their net worth is $80,000, mostly in a Roth IRA and a savings account. They have no home equity, but their liquid savings give them more flexibility in a pinch. Both are above the bottom half, but neither feels unshakably secure. The difference between them is not just the headline number, it is how fast they can access their money when life happens. To reach the top 25%, the bar rises to around $450,000 in net worth and $140,000 in annual household income. At this level, sustained homeownership and consistent retirement contributions become the norm. Most in this tier have built up significant equity, often from years of paying down a mortgage and riding the wave of rising home values. The key separator is stability, not just owning assets, but having enough cushion to weather setbacks without scrambling. A liquidity bar tells the story visually, showing how much of each household's wealth is actually available for emergencies or opportunities. For many, the gap between total net worth and accessible funds is wider than expected. That is why the climb from the 50th to the 25th percentile is not just about earning more, but about building buffers that can be tapped when needed. This is the first real step away from financial fragility, but the next tier will demand a different kind of flexibility. Crossing into the top 10% of U.S. households in 2025 means holding a net worth of about $1.6 million and an annual income around $200,000. For the top 5%, the bar jumps to roughly $3.8 million in net worth and $300,000 in yearly income. What is striking is not just the size of these numbers, it is how the composition of wealth transforms at this level. Persona C, age 49, lives in a major metro and has accumulated $1.7 million. Unlike the tiers below, less than a third of their net worth sits in home equity. The rest is split between a sizable taxable brokerage account, 2 rental properties, and cash reserves that can cover a full year of expenses. This is where liquidity becomes the real separator. Households in the top 10% are no longer locked into their homes and retirement accounts. They hold capital that can be deployed instantly, whether that is seizing a market dip, funding a business, or weathering a downturn without selling assets at a loss. Federal Reserve data show that for the top 10%, taxable investments and business equity make up nearly half of all wealth, compared to just a sliver for the median household. IRS records confirm a sharp rise in reported dividends, capital gains, and rental income starting at this tier. For Persona D, age 54, the story goes further. $4 million net worth, with passive income streams from a diversified stock portfolio and 3 rental units. Their taxable accounts alone generate over $70,000 a year in dividends and rents, enough to cover core expenses without touching earned income. This is the moment where money begins to work harder than its owner. The liquidity bar, once thin and fragile, now towers above the illiquid core. The key difference is not just a bigger number, it is the shift from forced saving to true financial flexibility. Households here do not just survive setbacks, they can hunt for opportunities, invest on their own terms, and create income that flows in whether they clock in or not. For the first time, the source of wealth shifts decisively from labor to capital. At the threshold of the top 1%, the numbers shift dramatically. In 2025, entry requires a net worth of about $11 million and an annual income near $700,000. Persona E is 62 and built a regional logistics firm over 3 decades. Their family net worth now exceeds $15 million, mostly in private business equity, stocks, and commercial property. Home equity is negligible. Retirement accounts are maxed out, but small in context. The real leverage comes from business ownership, the power to choose when to sell, borrow, or expand. Federal Reserve data confirms this. The top 1% now hold more than half of all United States equities and mutual funds, and nearly half of all private business equity. But the billionaire line stands 1,000 times higher, at least $1 billion in assets. The difference is not just scale, but structure. For the top 1%, wealth means owning businesses, portfolios, and real estate. For billionaires, it means controlling entire markets through private companies, cross-border trusts, and offshore funds, creating a system where assets generate more assets, often without ever being sold. Archetype F, the billionaire. Their wealth is measured not just in dollars, but in systemic leverage. Public filings reveal a world of Luxembourg holding companies and Cayman Islands feeder funds. Billionaires borrow against their assets at low rates, funding investments and lifestyles without triggering taxes. Their financial architecture is built for permanence. But the sharpest divide is behavioral. Households G and H start with identical incomes at the edge of the top 10%. One saves and invests steadily, resisting panic. The other spends more as income rises, shifts between cash and high-fee funds, and pulls back in downturns. After 10 years, the disciplined household approaches the top 1%, net worth compounding from $1 million to $7 million. The spender lags far behind, never crossing the thresholds that unlock real financial freedom. Today, the lines between wealth and mere survival sharpen as the cost of entry rises. In 2025, the true separator isn't just money, It's how you use it. The gap grows wider, and so does the power of every financial choice you make. What tier do you see yourself in?